5. I just come from there.
Okay, sure.
Friends, she has a problem.
And maybe if we are just a few of us,
we could just sit around in a circle and discuss.
We could have a circle and discuss.
That makes more sense.
Just some points that I have in my mind. I've put it on
PowerPoint, and that's it.
They're not power points at all, but they're just points.
Just points.
so then we could just have a discussion.
शुरू हो जाओ, you might as well start.
कितने 5 मिनट है या 45 minutes?
Still 5 minutes.
MOOCs, it's a MOOCs circle, online, massive, open, it should be open.
तब तक कॉफी पी लो.
पानी
पी लो, कॉफी पी लो.
कॉफी तो फिर लू जाना पड़ेगा उसके बाद.
यही है मैम. If you want then I'll get. Coffee.
आप अजीब नहीं लॉजिक किस क्या पानी पीने से नहीं जाना पड़ता है.
मतलब कॉफी से ज़्यादा.
I don't think so.
कॉफी के साथ पानी पीना पड़ता है.
नहीं, not necessarily.
मेरे को पीना पड़ता है. I feel very dehydrated. Coffee dehydrates.
I know.
So then we can drink that. So because I believe it. So the inside demands more water. So I hydrate. अच्छा ये ना पानी को पीना. कम्युनिटी में यानी हाँ यहीं पे मेरा घर
No, still it's 5 minutes left.
I don't know.
समस्या चलें अब कर देते हैं.
Sure.
So how long are you speaking?
Well, I'll just leave some थोड़ा सा 20 minutes. I think we can have a discussion rather than
Sure.
a voice vote.
Do some speech and then after you can get the discussion.
Yeah.
It is suggestion for me because.
Okay, what is NUET? NUET?
National University of Educational Planning and Administration. It's a
Hello. Good afternoon, all of you. Very warm welcome to Women Economic Forum. Here I am very congratulating to all of you for attending or to be a part of this great event. Today we have one session for MOOCs. So there are two delegates. First one is Nidhi Sadhana Sabarwal. She is Associate Professor of NUEPA, National University, Education Planning and Admin. So now I hand over to Ms. Nidhi ma'am for this session.
yes. I think thank you very much for this opportunity. It'll be
Nice
great
that we all come.
yeah, if we come together and maybe we
Let's
can
all
just
come.
have a discussion on it since I have some points, and like I said, they are not PowerPoints, just plain points that I've thought through and have collated together. So we could have a discussion on that. Come in front. Yes, please. Come in front, please. That'll be great. Can you please? All right. Okay. So let me introduce myself. I'm Nithi, and I'm from the Center for Policy Research in Higher Education. It is a new center that's been set up in the National University of Educational Planning and Administration. It is in New Delhi. It is a university that is supported by the Ministry of Human Resource Development. That's the Ministry of Education of the Government of India. And our university and our center is basically engaged in providing research-based evidence to policy inputs to the government, as well as we also interact with administrators across the board of the Government of India. So we interact with the administrators at the district level in education sector, at the district level, at the state level, and at the national level. So there are two functions. One is undertaking research, and the other one is training the administrators on new policies and also the implementation of policies. It will be great to quickly have a round of introduction, if that makes me also feel very comfortable and a little less nervous. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Vandana Chadha from Allahabad. In India, it's a very small town. You must have heard of the holy rivers Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati flowing there. I'm from that town, and I've been running a small school of my own for the last 28 years. It's a primary school, and I'll be speaking about it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please, okay. Let's speak here. My name is Ashish Chidyo. I'm a chartered accountant. Work with Chidyo company, which started by my grandfather, and that represents Gram Fountain GT in India, which is the fifth largest accounting firm in the world. We just started something in education, and it's basically an amalgam of IT, media, and education together. So we basically record our own lectures in the studio, and we add a lot of animation and graphics to these videos, so that it becomes interesting. And this entire thing is bundled in a pen drive. Even because in India, the internet connectivity is not very good all over, not just remote areas. Even in the metros, if you want to download high definition videos, is very difficult. And to watch a movie, it's interrupting. So studies can be even more painful. That's why we are giving it preloaded onto our pen drive. And the pen drive comes with a software, basically like we have in schools. It's like a timetable. Assuming the course is 100 hours, you want to study 10 hours a day. The course calculates in 10 days what you're going to study. Day 1 you're going to study this, day 2 you're going to study that. And it's learning and testing as you go along rather than a one-way discourse that the teacher stands and gives it. You get to test yourself as you move forward. But I'm happy to talk about it if you have any questions.
Yeah.
So right now it's just chartered accountancy because that is what our forte is. The plan is to take it to other courses as well. Thank you.
Great. You're already setting the tone for my presentation.
Hello. So I'm Lisa Berman from New Zealand, born in South Africa. So the interest for me in this topic is it's I'm developing. So my background is 30 years in as a beauty, beauty and hair. And so I've had my own business over the years and stuff like that. So at this stage in my life, I've come to India last year in August to meet with the National Skills Development Corporation to very keen to link in to share my skills and my background in helping them developing the beauty and wellness hairdressing, makeup, beauty, spa, fitness, it carries on. So my idea is to develop it on online courses. Okay, so the big challenge for us is the old school way of training someone a skill is very easy. It's one-on-one. However, one can reach more people via online. The challenge is, how do you teach someone a skill and watch them do it correctly? So that is the challenge that we're facing, and
It would be great to talk to you about it when we have a discussion around
sure.
it.
Thank you.
How do you
How do you teach how to apply makeup
Yes.
online? I'm Rohini, Michigan, from Delhi itself, and I'm attached with a charitable trust called Waters, and we go to educational institutions to impart value skills, and so now a lot of requests we have seen for spoken languages to learn through online. So I want to look into that sphere also.
Hello everyone. I won't stand up because why should I in one sense? I'm Dr. Geraldine Kilbride. I have a dual role in the UK. I'm Director of Learning and Development for the Resource Alliance, which is a global organisation which supports non-profits and NGOs, particularly in terms of learning how to develop capacity through effective fundraising and equally through developing top teams, so the senior management team and boards of government. I'm also an associate professor at London Business School, which is one of the world's top 10 business schools. And what we're doing at both organisations is developing MOOCs effectively. And we've already launched the Resource Alliance fundraising online. We had 5,000 members log in simultaneously last week. So I think this is an envelope that is yet to be pushed to its limit, and I recognise those, particularly in terms of skills-based training. It's how you make MOOCs a non-passive activity. So I think that's the real challenge, so that there's an true experiential element. And London Business School also, along with Harvard, Wharton and Stanford, are giving away MBAs at the moment online, and this is a rich seam of future development. So I'm delighted to meet with the CPRHE and the new NUEPA, and I'm sure this will be the start of a long conversation. Thank you.
I think there's a Future Learn program.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
I prefer to stand up after heavy lunch. My name is Kari Egge. I'm from Norway, and I'm actually in the middle of a very interesting program now. I'm doing leadership development programs for women online, and I'm actually concluding my master in leading innovation and change at York University in the UK online. And I have now, as we speak and as we sit, 1,600 women from around the world on free leadership sessions for women out there. Every day I have 20 new women who are signing up for these leadership sessions, and it's amazing what they're learning and what they're doing with their new skills. And it's a mix. My little social enterprise is called Afterward. Women, knowledge, leadership. So it's by imparting new knowledge and skills through online interaction. And I'm using a mix of text, videos or webinars, and then answers and assignments. So the interactive part is actually to respond on assignments and also bringing up issues for interaction on the webinars. So it's a mix of learning new knowledge using it, thinking through, a lot of reflection goes into this, and then afterward is the practice. So I have women who have started their own NGOs, I have women who have started their own CBOs, community-based organizations, and I'm also women who want to go on mentorship programs with me, which I'm also offering. So it's I think it is I'm working in Africa mainly now, with women in developing countries, because I think that's where we also need to report hard knowledge. And 20 years of working for the UN as a background, so I've seen this growing market, but I've also seen the growing opportunities there is to use online. I understand in India you may have some problems. The problems I think are universal. So maybe we can come back to look at the technicalities which are beyond this. But it's coming like a huge wave, and we need to be on that wave. We have to surf on it and use it. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more person who just joined us, so we're just introducing ourselves, and then I'll just place some points.
Yeah, my name is Surbi Kapoor. I'm from Delhi, and I'm the managing trustee of a trust which does work with the young people and all people. It's called Waters. And I'm a trained counselor and scriptwriter, so seeing this online courses of where we can grow and benefit and help other people.
That's great.
Thank you
very much. So thank you. Oh, sorry, I didn't.
And the media.
All right. Well, that's important. Can you introduce?
Hi, I am Zahid Jabri. I run Right Wing Media. So we are in touch with all the publications around the world. And right now I'm the editor of one magazine called Apna Desh Samachar, which is basically positive journalism. We try and identify any set of organizations or NGOs or civic activists who've done some good work across the world and write about their success story to basically say that, hey, there is a lot of good work happening out there. It's not just negative news that you're going to see around the world. So we are trying to make a difference by highlighting those small success stories and trying to make it a bigger success story.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you. So what I thought we could have a discussion on how MOOCs and how we can place MOOCs in the larger landscape, in the landscape of how it's impacting India and how it is a part of a globalization process, so have a general larger framework, and why it's being called a disruptive innovation, and why it is being called a disruptive innovation. I'll just take 30 seconds to explain what is disruptive innovation. I'll then move on to the national context, briefly talk about the higher education and its expansion, its development in India, and how this new learning model is it disruptive or not in the Indian context? What is the MOOC's potential? Who benefits from MOOCs in India? And its policy implications. So, MOOCs have been called a disruptive innovation that will drastically change the education landscape, and globalization, in the context of globalization, which has two consequences: the knowledge economy, where all of us want that our citizens are better educated than their parents, because that's the important route. Higher education is an important route to transition into elite labor market, into higher salaries, labor market that command higher salaries. So the knowledge economy, simply, very basically put, is the impact, one of the impact of globalization, which is a market-mediated process. The second impact is on disruptive innovation. For those who are old enough to remember, there are things called typewriters, and for those who are particularly old, like myself, we remember manual typewriters. Then we found that the typewriters company invented electric typewriters. We all applauded as that was a sustainable technology. The use of electric typewriter improved the process. But at that time, no one said, gee, I wish there was a computer, except a few fellows working at a garage in California. The process of disruptive technologies are similar all the time when you look at it over the century, which is that someone invents something, that's invention, that is not very efficient, it is large, it's expensive, and very few people are interested in creating a new market. And when they create that new market, the price drops, and then other people start to use it, and all of a sudden, typewriters go out of business. Everyone uses computers. These companies who manufactured typewriters went out of business. Microsoft, Apple, those are predominant today. It impacted many industries like newspaper. So coming over here today in the morning, I read Times of India online on my mobile. Yesterday night, I read Hindu on my mobile. So if I can access internet here, I'll check what's happening online, the news that is coming out. It has created mass to ask what does that mean for universities and colleges. It is fanciful to think that we will not be impacted in some form or the other. And again, I'm not saying is it good or it's bad, but we have to understand that this is an innovation that is changing the way we think about technology and the way we think about learning. So, but if I can train my graduate students the way I was trained is no longer sufficient. So it's not a hype. Let me come to the national context. Where are we in higher education in India? Higher education in India is expanding. It's in the stage of massification. This is a term that is commonly used in higher education language from an elite stage where we have a very small enrollment. We have moved to the stage of massification where right now we have 23.5% of the gross enrollment ratio of enrollment of the graduates of those who want to be in that age group are in higher education. So the gross enrollment ratio in higher education is 23.5%. We have close to 33 million students enrolled of higher education. Certainly would necessitate either more institutions of the conventional type, either we build more brick and mortar universities infrastructure, or expand the traditional distance learning mode of delivery. But does MOOCs, do we have an answer in MOOCs? MOOCs potential in less developed countries is enormous. If we take assistance of ICT, which is available, India can accelerate the pace of massification of India's higher education. It is being considered, it is looked as, theoretically, it is looked as a pathway of expansion of higher education, democratization of higher education, which was elite in nature earlier. It's massifying now, but in that massification where we have we have aspirations of the youth, we have a demographic dividend, the youth coming into and aspiring to for higher education, we could either build more universities or we can have expansion online. Theoretically, if we unpack the word MOOCs, it's massive. AM, it's massive, which means theoretically it doesn't have a limit. It's open, again, it's limitless. It's online. So there is, if you just from your mind move away from a university which which has these walls where students think and learn and teach. That's we have potential there. India has an enrollment of
That's right. No, that's fine.
India has an enrollment of 0.25 million students, and that accounts for largest non-US enrollment in Coursera. We know the Coursera, what is Coursera. We also find that other universities in other countries like China, which it ranks first among the BRICS countries, created a consortium of leading universities to offer MOOCs courses in Mandarin. In IITs, India relies MOOCs for skills in the IIT sector. So, for example, there's Swayam, which is developed in IIT Mumbai. I'll talk more about Swayam. And we also have the target of connecting 1 billion Indians by 2020. So will MOOCs lead to massification of global higher education in India? First, let me just say that India enrolls the second largest number of students. Just wrapping up here, summarizing after USA in MOOCs. Several institutions from India joined the MOOCs platform. The IIT Mumbai has joined hands with edX to train engineering teachers. IIT Delhi is offering a course on web intelligence in partnership with Coursera. The Udacity, in collaboration with Georgia Tech and AT&T, offer an online MOOCs master's degree in India. It seems that MOOCs platform are increasingly used by those selected institutions which have a position in providing quality education. Now, will MOOCs lead to a massification of global higher education in India? Next slide, please. So there's the study, and I can give the reference to the studies some of the studies that have been done. And what we found, what this study finds is that most MOOCs students are young, male, and educated, living in urban areas. So that's so those are the population that's right now benefiting from youth. They are English speaking and technology friendly groups. Nearly 80% already hold a university degree. So it's not that they are enrolling online for a degree. They are enrolling online to enhance their skills in a particular sector. They have good English proficiency. They are full-time employed. They are not necessarily looking for a degree. And the limitation is that we have a limited technological infrastructure. But the government of India is moving towards 1 billion internet connectivity by 2020. So, they are male. So being in all, we need to think around how do we improve the proportion of women accessing online courses. There's a whole 50% of the population is being left out. And not necessarily that women will only access women-related online courses. We need to improve their accessibility to chartered accountancy courses, for example, and leadership courses. All the courses that men do. While on the other hand, we have, in India, we have great hairdressers who are men. We've got very famous hairdressers who are men, so it has to be, MOOCs is not the domain that is for, that we can, it's a gender neutral domain. So we need to get our heads around and think about what do we do. Of course, I didn't mention women, increasing women's proportion in my policy implication because I think that's a given. For me, that's a given to begin with. But yes, we need to expand the technological infrastructure. Can we also think of leveraging MOOCs to strengthen distance learning? We do have ODL, Open Distance Learning mode of education. So the distance learning is there. But if that distance learning can also be imparted online, availability of online courses in the distance learning mode, institutions can adapt MOOCs to strengthen and reinforce the courses they are offering. And I've been told and I've read that MIT, Stanford, they're all doing that. They're using MOOCs to enhance the quality of their courses, courses that they teach in their classrooms. MOOCs in Indian languages. We have as many states as we have, those many languages we have. So English or Hindi is not the only language that India speak in. So we've got many regional languages. So we should have these online courses. And that is one of the limitations. China did it, Mandarin. We could also do as much. Only when students, rural areas. So only when students from colleges located in rural areas get access to technology and new courses, MOOCs will make a major impact of higher education in India. Because we have to understand and we have to know 85% of our enrollment in higher education, 85% it is in our rural colleges and universities. So we already are aware that students right now are not going online to get a degree. They're going online to enhance their already existing skills. But if we want to make it massive in the Indian context, we need to go into the rural areas. And your providing pen drives is, I think, one of the very practical way of making it massive. I would say MOOCs, we should see MOOCs as a friend and not, it's being termed as a disruptive innovation. I would call it a supportive innovation. So MOOCs as a friend that reinforces quality in higher education because MOOCs brings transparency of content. And when there is transparency, there is improvement in quality. There is accountability. So we should have this perspective that MOOCs is a friend and not something that will replace a professor or a teacher in a classroom situation. It will be a partner and a friend to the teaching learning that is happening in higher education in India. Thank you. That's so we could have some discussion. Yeah. Hello.
That's fine.
Yeah, sure.
So basically the reason we went to the pen drive was exactly that, as you mentioned. The problem with chartered accountancy, is that the course is very dynamic, keeps on changing, Indian Rights Act changes every year. What happened, the Companies Act 2013 came about, whereas we had come applied this since 1956.
Yeah.
And we used
Maybe
अरे अंदर है अरे रूम नंबर 13 में नहीं આવતું रूम नंबर 13 આપણું સેટઅપ જે છે ને એમાં વ્યૂ નહીં આવતું આમાં શું પ્રોબ્લેમ છે અમે યાર બહુ બરાબર ઓલું છે એમ
So, my question was basically, going back to the course is very dynamic. In context, I have to do That's why we've actually started teaching family. But the idea is to go all the way down, when you start commerce, now taking demand.
You have to set this left over there. For some clarity, you have to set this whole thing over there. After this session, you have to set it.
The main thing is, how does the consumer know, okay, this content I get it. And that's why we have a review process within the organization. The first meeting is hosted online, not in on the network. So we also started online. We didn't have videos already to an online portal. But the challenge is that how does the consumer know that this has been updated? That's the main challenge.
We'll be very happy to interact with you rather than a one-way.
Call number 267 का तो ये
Grab something off the rack and throw it on.
I'm trying to use my voice. On the updating, there is a system. It depends which system you use. Because what I have now, I have 2,000 euros on this program.
7 का ना इसीलिए ये आउट दिखाएगा देखो इसका आरपी है आपको निकल तो इस जगह पर सही है मैं आपकी से निकल रहा हूँ ये वेबकैम है ना इसीलिए क्लैरिटी नहीं बनना
So Simplero would be what spelling?
Simplero. And the other one is? And the other one is Kajabi, Kajabi.com.
And what these tools are?
They are helping you to set up this net-based system. So you have a system that's actually doing your where you have the opt-in page, the landing pages, you have where people sign up to your programs. So when you sign up to the program, you get a welcome letter and then you get the sessions. And then there is a broadcast system where you can write whatever you like and get email. And by a click, you have the whole instead
So what we're doing, sorry.
I'm setting up these kind of programs myself. From the opt-in page, which is then where you sign into the programs, to the content of the program, and then the whole system.
Yeah, so what we are doing is we have a webinar system. You know, you can use Google Hangouts for a webinar. Yeah, so a webinar happens. But our course, the entire course is about 700 hours. 700 hours. And out of that, it's not that the entire 700 will change. It will change in bits and parts.
Yeah, but
So,
still you can inform, you can use the broadcast to inform everybody. That's my point. As long as you have administration, because then it becomes complicated for you and become complicated for the you can post videos.
So for you, so just what I'm hearing, and it's, correct me if I'm wrong, so you say your challenge is if government changes legislation,
yes.
it has to change on your course.
Right.
Otherwise it doesn't make your course authentic anymore.
And because we've given the pen
Updated.
drive,
Yes.
you see, online is easier. It's easier because my job is done. I want to do the hard work myself, so that the student who's in a remote area, he knows, okay, the pen drive that I'm getting is up to date, and that's a challenge. That's a continuous challenge. Now, while online it's easier. If something comes up, I host it on the net. But because internet is not available, it becomes a challenge. How do
So that's why
push it?
one of the strategy that they are using is they're giving it in pen drive to people. But the challenge that they face is how do we update that course?
Once the pen drive is gone, yes, on the pen drive. Yeah, so the entire model was the pen drive because we want to reach people who are all over the country. But we still use these webinars, but the problem is that a student will have to go to a cafe. To attend. So I want to ease that out. So that
What we do in Southern Africa for Resource Alliance is we've got an arrangement with a bank, and this is for the whole of Southern Africa, who host, so every week they host that kind of community whereby people come in from the country and they go through, so they have the advantage of seeing the best service, best broadcast, but they also have the advantage of peer learning, so they're networking in their own communities. And they have homework set for the week, and then they travel back in every week. And the bank has funded it, so it provides the premises, provides the room travel. But I think you'll find that there is some appetite to get involved, particularly as the numbers of people coming to learn, so they have the advantage of online and offline. And coming into the centre actually is the best of both worlds, it's online and offline.
The other thing was another thing that you could see. We have a very strong network of universities and colleges that are existing. We have more than 38,000 colleges in India and more than 700 universities, state universities. So what you were saying about coming to the community, community here is the university and colleges that we have to tap it.
excellent, but the main challenge here was students actually commute, and you spend so much time, money, and effort in commuting, and a lot of parts of the country are not very safe. So I wanted the student to be able to study at his convenience, anywhere, anytime, any place he wants to study. You should not be dependent on the class that the teacher wants to teach.
You're absolutely right, and I think there are transitional arrangements as well.
I mean, it all started because I faced a lot of problems. In fact, when I used to go to the class, chartered accountancy, the pass percentage in India is in single digits. And I used to go and attend the same class every time, and my teachers used to say, you keep coming back and you remember the figures. I said, yes, of course, because you're teaching the same questions in every class. Either you tell me where am I going or not. And that's the reason that we started with the multiple choice questions after every chapter. You have to test yourself after every chapter. Because in India, there is again an examination phobia. The way we teach, there is an examination phobia. And I'm doing a course at Harvard Business School. I'm doing the OPM.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I chose that was there are no examinations. I've attended 100%, and probably I'd love to do more.
You get the certificate.
Yes.
But surely is it not up to the students, say for example, old method, brick and mortar school, wasn't that up to the chartered accountant in your case? The chartered accountant's job to make sure that that his knowledge is up to scratch with current legislation. Why do you feel the responsibility to update, say, students that started a year ago?
It's completely our responsibility. That's why we're building a brand. And that's why I'm here, to learn You know, I have said this to my people that for me this is a pharmaceutical industry. I cannot let poison go out disguised as medicine. I mean, I'm a product of that. I mean, I had problems with this. People used to teach anything, and you know, and again, in our country we take the teacher as like a god. Whatever he's saying is correct. And
I like that idea actually. I think it's a good one. Don't lose it too quickly.
So that's what we. Yes.
You mentioned about students traveling to centers. Have you ever considered giving online tutoring support to your content? Have you ever considered?
Yes. So we have 3 ways. Because it's in the recorded medium, we've added animation graphics to these videos so that you can remember what the you know, as they say, a picture is 1,000 words. So an animation is probably more. What we've also done is, while the recording is taking place, we've asked our teachers that because you have an experience of so many years in teaching, you know exactly what point in time what questions come up. You know, and so please address them within that itself. So they've given the discourse, but they've said, oh, maybe you were having this doubt in your mind. And they've addressed that with an animated character, which I've used. Second, and after that, what we do is, once a month we have a webinar. Once a month we have a webinar. For that, you need internet. And that's what we're trying to reduce. And what we're also doing is that you can send in your queries through an email or an SMS, and we'll revert back to you in 2 days. So we have
I
these
run an
3.
online tutoring company.
Okay.
Yeah, but we are not in this space. We are in the school education space, and we are also into some other competitive exams, not CA.
Okay, but I'd love to talk to you because I've only started with CA final because when I was doing it, I said I'm going to definitely do this. Whenever I passed, my teacher said you'll never do it. I said I'm doing it when it's complete. CA final we're doing complete. Now is the time I want to go backwards and forward. What happens after CA passes the exam? He doesn't know what to do. So our fate comes in because we, the family represents we represent that in India. And I said, how do I add value to the fraternity of accountants? You know, and this is what I want to be from 11th and 12th onwards, and after CA, what do you do? And then maybe replicate it to something else. I want to do sports as well because
There's a very so there is a window of opportunity. I would suggest. I would say is university-industry linkage.
Right.
That is extremely an important initiative that the government is looking to get into. So you as an industry, as a consortium of industry, you can engage with the university or colleges that are affiliated. So in the university system, we have a affiliation system. There are some universities will have thousands of colleges affiliated in one university, state university.
So they have the same program then?
Yes. So the current, where the syllabus is prescribed by the university, the assessment is also standardized. So there is a lot of opportunity. You have to partner. You have to explore these universities.
Slightly different in India, like the ICAI.
This is India.
Yes, no, but universities are different. You know, like Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales is one institute in the UK. In India, similarly, you have ICAI, which governs the degree of Chartered Accountants all over India.
Right.
But the university is different everywhere.
So
a law degree, I could do law from, say, Meerut or Delhi.
Right.
You know, there are 2 different curriculums.
There are different councils, there are different regulatory frameworks as well.
So how does a consumer potential student determine the best in a sense? How is that regulated?
So it depends. I want the easier way out. I would go to university. Why?
Okay.
I want a proper name.
Presumably back-end employers know which are the better.
Absolutely.
No, but they get the same degree. Like in University of Delhi, I could go to Shriram College of Commerce, or I could go to XYZ. I would still get the degree of University of Delhi.
But would you get the
But
same?
I would not get out of the college.
I
There's no
think,
college degree.
Can we get back to mass education?
Yes.
Because I think that's what the
Yes.
session is
Yeah,
about.
we can manage the
Because
game.
otherwise it gets so
No.
specialized.
Yeah, go on.
No, I was still thinking on you said that it should be gender, in one way gender neutral. But first you have to bring your women up to the gender parity, because you can never get into gender parity unless you give an extra boost to the women. And first of all, now they are very low in terms of education levels, and they have to get, so you have to do an extra investment in order to get the women up. And don't forget that in your planning of the mass education, because you may need to start at primary or secondary levels and give women in the remote areas and girls in the remote areas that extra investment. And who is going to do that? It's the duty of the government of India to do it, as per the Human Rights Conventions. And secondly, we need to genderize education, because if everything becomes neutral, it becomes flat, and it has no purpose. So
my point, what I was trying to, I'm sorry if you...
No, I'm just, and the second issue, the second that we have to make it women friendly. Because women are, we don't need to repeat everything that women do, but we need to create a space for women and find places where women can study without being disturbed by men. And I'm serious about it, because when I run my leadership programs for women, men are sneaking in, and it's fine. Because that's my ultimate goal, is to open up to both sexes. But I see it even on the online courses, which I've announced for women. I have 10% men enrolled, because I don't need that anymore. But it's just to give that opportunity, and I think in fairness with your company as well, if you facilitate the training, pay attention to it, so that women have that opportunity within all their household chores, without all the duties, all the flights that they have to attend to actually come in and be able to study. So that will lift the whole country. As you said, half the population is left out. It is only playing on one part of the soccer field. There's no game at all. And that's what we need to be doing.
Half, and also just one-fourth urban half. That's the, it's,
exactly.
Yeah, so the studies indicate in India it's the urban, male, English-speaking population that is accessing books.
Like on the courses which they offer is artist certifications, because now the next lane is employment. So whether they are urban men or slowly coming and investing their time. So how to choose, I think somebody asked the question, how to choose what is good, and maybe to acknowledge the things then helping them employment. That is the final way.
So I think that would be a good answer that you could give. How you, in practice, have been able to link the chartered accountancy to employment opportunities?
We'll limit it to chartered accountancy, that's all right. Yeah? Sure. So basically what happens is when these trainees are doing their articles, which is like an apprenticeship, normally they go to the audit side. So they feel that audit is everything that they would actually be doing. So what we are doing, we want to do it, and we haven't started that part, which is only the academic part that we do right now, is giving them a flavor of what the entire accountancy business is, and then maybe get them on board on that as well. Let them know what a particular service line does, so that at a broader level, at 30,000 feet, they know, okay, this is the service line and we do this kind of work, and then give them an opportunity to work there for a while as well, and then let them choose.
Yes, just following with the previous line, what Mr. Yusuf was talking about, is then how do we reach groups? Getting it down to what can be done by online education providers. There are I'm sitting in New Zealand. I want to help people in the most remote places, which is great. What do we do?
I think one of the ways would be partner with companies like, partner with industry, partner with companies like yours.
I think I could just add, and there's something you have in our mind right now. Like in India, if you see the people who, the barbers, so to say, you have a barber every looking corner. So you're to tell him that, okay, barber might be doing the shave as well, but if you tell him so many other things that he could do, because the back massage right there, he doesn't need anything. All he needs is you have to make him aware that the guy who's coming to you he's done for a haircut. In the meantime, you can put him in the back massage as well, and prove the other things that he's not aware about. I would also at the same time let him polish his shoes as well. Somebody down there, see, I'm there. And at the same time, somebody's doing a haircut, somebody else can polish my shoes, somebody can do whatever at the
So,
same time.
for example, the content. So, someone can be the content, someone can be the platform.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then you need to look at the quality of what you do.
Yes.
And I think that's what your concern may be on the haircut. You can take the whole.
As well, as well as how do we make, say, the barber aware that there are courses online? How will the masses of people that we want to reach, not just the business crowd, the masses and masses, millions and millions of people that can be reached and be uplifted.
So for example, I know about my university sector and the higher education sector. We have, we are privatizing. This is like, we are privatizing. We have a private sector and we have privatization. There are two aspects to it. Private sector is pure private. It's managed and it's governed by the private individuals. While the privatization is when the public universities offer self-financing courses, the student fees that are paid. So these are all ways of entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs getting into the university sector through university industry linkage, but collaborating with the industry. So we've got very strong industry consortiums, FICCI, CII. Who have, so that's like giving. And no, just one thing, because these industries, like for example, Confederation of Indian Industries, they have also signed up to the UN Global Compact. There are these UN guidelines that they have signed up where they are ethically responsible industries. So profit is not the only agenda or the motive. They are ethically motivated companies as well in that consortium, various consortiums. So I think I'm not just being this industry spokesperson, but there are various ways to enter this collaboration.
So it's the job of the provider to go out
search. Yeah. Because it's the industry who will have all the linkages to the rural areas, because it's them who have these wanting to reach to the consumer.
And I have some experience of this. I've been working in Kenya for the last 2.5 years. And exactly, penetrating the market is extremely important. But choose your collaborating partners, like for example the India, what do you call it, Confederation of Indian Industries. Go big with those, because I'm with the Kenya Chamber of Commerce, I'm with the Kenya Parliamentarian Women, I'm with the UN, I'm with the big size. Instead
choose a large umbrella.
A large umbrella, but narrow in, because it is so time consuming to do this, and you have to do it because you're selling yourself. You're selling, you can sell whatever product there is, but in fact you're selling yourself or just the material. So that's why it's important. The second thing, on the community base, what they're experimenting with, for example, in Uganda, is to have computer centers at community level. I worked in Uganda 6.5 years myself. And what they have installed is actually computer centers with a solar panel developed by an Indian company. And they have 4 computers. People go online, they pay their bills, they do every kind of internet-based traffic, and they do courses. And this is bringing the computer out to people. Instead of everybody going into the center, you're actually giving the opportunity at village level. The second I would like to say is, look at the mobile industry. Everybody and his brother has one. And the mobile
Yes.
now is used for example, maternity mortality monitoring, it's used for birth registration, it's used for everything. And with the new, what we call it, the Android, and the new mobiles,
Yes.
you can download anything. So the entry point of using the mobile phones, also for this kind of mass education, is enormous. And more people, like in Africa now, we talk about 70% of people having mobile phones. And that's the mass education of the future. It's not the computer, it's not the iPad.
Yes. So we're
Can
getting
you shut the mic? I think you should not require for the camera to be better.
all these sounds are agreeing with your interventions. So what I wanted to I think we may have to wrap this up, and in the end I would like to just share this experience, this large-scale study that I'm undertaking across universities and colleges in India, where I'm going and speaking. I'm looking at student diversity in higher education institution, how it's changing over the years, and what are the dreams and aspirations of students, and especially girls right now. So we were having this conversation with hello. Either I can say hello, yeah, aap bol do pehle. So what's happening is that when we speak to girls, they are enrolled in higher education, they are doing their master's degree, and these are universities and colleges. For example, I'm talking, they are in Bihar, in remote areas of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, or even Kerala, Karnataka. Those are the colleges and universities that I'm talking about. The girls have an aspiration to be bank officers. They want to enroll. For that, they move from their village. They have this motivation inside, and they beat the odds. They beat the odds and they move out of their homes, the village. They get onto the bus. They get onto sometimes trains to come to college, come to the university to study, protect themselves, and learn. And then they go back. They go to a coaching center where all these employability courses are being offered. So I think companies like yours have a great opportunity to change the landscape for women, and those women who are coming and beating the odds by coming to college and university. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable and nice thoughts for MOOCs, massive open online courses. Even I have personally learned many things from you. It was very nice session. Thank you, ma'am.
Are you?
Check 1 2 check this. I'll check 1 2.
So it's interesting among this
one. Check case. Check one. Check one, two. Check one. Check case. Check one. Check. Check one.
Pass down. You know, like, hey, Kali, I don't think you can really teach anyone without you have a person one. What you could do is have an hour of video recording. Check one. Check.
Quinoa is an inner city school in Berlin that provides high quality education to low income communities.
Check one.
The idea for this school was conceived because we worked in one of the public schools in this district for 2 years, and we realized that the teenagers, they really respond to the expectations they are confronted with. So if they are surrounded by low expectations, there will be low outcomes. And in fact, almost a third of teenagers in this district leave school without any qualifications. On the other hand, if teenagers are continuously surrounded by high expectations, then their performance goes up and up and up, and they can really achieve. And so, noticing this, I just had to set up this place where teenagers are continuously surrounded by high expectations and the support to achieve those goals, and then they can really perform. Sometimes people ask me if I believe that this one school can really make a difference. Yes, it can. Because I live in a country where teachers and students in inner city, low-income communities are surrounded by low expectations that society puts on them. A lot of people believe that these kids can't achieve anything. And I want to show all of the students and all of the teachers out there that that's not true. That if they believe and if they take the steps to achieve their vision, then these children can achieve great things. And so I want to set an example, and I want to show the others that it's possible so that they can find their own ways that work within their own community and their own context, but to make it possible for all children to have the potential to fulfill their own potential. Thinking about where Quinoa will be 5 years from now gives me a real push of motivation. Because in 5 years we will have the first cohort of students who will have completed their apprenticeships after school, and that really is what Quinoa is all about, to enable the next step after school to be successful as well. So thinking about our first cohort of students coming back into the school to be mentors for the students coming after them. Yeah, that is such a joy, and I think of particular students and what they will do, and I'm really looking forward to welcoming them back in 5 years and saying, wow, look at what you've achieved, well done. Sometimes I still find it hard to believe that I'm standing here now as principal of Quinoa School, because 4 years ago, when we first started to pursue this idea, nobody thought it was possible. Any expert would tell us, no, that's impossible, you can't do that in Germany, or you can't do that in Berlin. But we just knew about the potential of these children, and we knew that they couldn't fulfill their potential in the current system, and we just had to find a way for them to do it. And so, whatever obstacles we met, we looked at them together as a team, and that is so important to have a great team around you. Something like this is not something anyone can do on their own. So we would look at the obstacles of the team and really see, okay, how can we overcome this obstacle that we never doubted because we believed in the case. And so if any of you out there have an idea of something that you want to do, find the one thing that it is that you really believe in. Then find a team of other people who believe in the same vision, and then you can make it work. And it won't be easy, it won't be easy, but if you stick with it, and if you stick with your team, you will make it happen. Good luck! I am extremely honored to receive this award, and I am also so grateful to be part of such a great movement of women worldwide, and it's so good to know not alone, not even in this country, but internationally. So thank you so much for thinking of me, and this award has given all of us a lot of strength, and I hope that the conference will give all of you a lot of strength, and go back out there and keep doing the good work. Quinoa is a university school in Berlin that provides high-quality education to a low-income community. The idea for this school was conceived because we worked in one of the public schools in this district for 2 years, and we realized that the teenagers, they really
हाँ कर दिया मैं बोलता हूँ 8 बजे कल उसका 8 बजे बोल दूँगा हाँ रात ठीक है Hello?
Ladies, we're going to start in just a little bit. It's going to be super intimate. We've got a lovely intimate room gathering, and we are talking about a really hot topic nowadays. And so I'm super, super excited to be led with my co-facilitators today. And in this jam-packed hour, we are going to uncover a lot. So hopefully you have perhaps maybe something to write with. Think of it as kind of like a mini workshop that we're going to do.
And we don't ever get to focus. Workshops? Oh wow, I like the way my sound.
I think you go better on
Is it better?
Yeah.
Because it sounds.
No, this is
I'm used to doing this without mic, so is this fine? Okay. It's better if we're on stage, but we're not. Okay, cool. Are you guys okay? So, as people are kind of trickling in, as people are kind of trickling in, so today's topic is really about redefining identity, and so I'm sharing the lovely stage with Ananya and Kavya. Hello. And my name is Dr. Nika Bhushan, and so just a little bit about me. I'm CEO of Global Grit Institute, and we run emotional confidence accelerators for top-level executive CEOs, companies, and businesses to redefine and reshape their thinking globally. And I did that for a little bit in Silicon Valley as well, and now I am kind of based on different parts of the world. And so I'm really excited to be here. And I'm sorry, should I? Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
Hello. Good afternoon, all of you. Very warm welcome to Women Economic Forum. Today's we have three delegates. First is Neeta Bhushan ma'am, Neena Haridas ma'am, then Ananya Parekh ma'am. Neeta Bhushan, she is President and Chief Experience Officer, NeetaBhushan.com from USA. Welcome ma'am. Neena Haridas, she is journalist from India. Welcome ma'am. Then Ananya Parekh, co-founder of the Inner Tourist Academy from India. Welcome ma'am. So it will be very nice session from these three guests. So you can start.
So we won't use the mic, if that's cool. Okay, awesome. All right, so to get started with a super hot topic, and with these lovely co-founders, I just had the amazing experience to listen to their journey, and so this is really about, okay, this is really about all of you, and the way that gather all of us. This is for all of you, right? And so the way that we, so think of this as a mini workshop today. So as we get into this, what does identity mean to each of you? If we can take perhaps maybe the first 5 minutes and go around. We are at this forum, and it's the Women Economic Forum, and we
So if we can actually have a little bit more of an intimate setting, I'd love to hear, perhaps maybe we can go around and just, if you guys can kind of explore some of the nuances of what identity has looked like in your lives up until this point, because it's a very interesting topic, and especially now that we have two amazing co-founders and entrepreneurs, and we're now in this different, and we have different stages of our lives where we enter motherhood, we enter the corporate world, we enter marriage, and so on and so forth. And so what does that look like? How has that shaped all of you? And what I'm encouraging you all to do is whatever identity that you actually had before coming into this room, to actually leave that aside. Because we don't actually get to do that on a daily basis. You don't actually get to see some of the different parts of you. And so for the next hour, I ask you to think from a different framework, just a different perspective. And perhaps by the end of this session, we can come out with this with a different understanding, more compassion, more self-compassion, and more empathy on how we view the world with different identities. So perhaps we can kind of start, maybe in the back, what has been, or anybody can shout out, what has been some of the identities that we actually face now in society? And I'm going to perhaps maybe sit down, unless you guys want me to stand up.
So, it was always rolling. So we say identity, clothing and identity, professional or a homemaker. Do you want to have those caps? Or could you talk about it's not very clear about what you're.
Or do you want to make it like a creative?
No, I don't think this mic is good. Yeah, we just need to
And this is part of our programming. So I love it because this is a dialogue, and this is what I love. And so you're right. So there are different aspects of identity. This could be in career. This could be personal. This could be, in the kitchen, right? And so what about on this? Everyone going to say something?
There is roles that perform. Yeah. Identify.
Can I say something? Actually, we do not know our own identity.
Okay.
That's the truth. We are conditioned to create identities. Yes. I'm told I'm supposed to be a mother, so I'm a mother.
Right.
I'm supposed to be a daughter, so I'm a daughter. And now, all of a sudden I feel I want to be an entrepreneur, so I become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But what am I? Actually, we still don't know. So till we don't tap into our hidden potential, till we don't start peeling out the petals, we won't be knowing what is inside us actually. And you're right, we always are with a cap. So this is the place where we can at least leave those caps outside and think, what am I and what do I want?
Also, one of the very big reasons.
Yeah, please.
One of the very big reasons of carving out an identity is codependency. Because we are so ruled by the people in our lives. We are someone's daughter, someone's wife, someone's mother. But what are we to ourselves? We hardly know. And we reach a stage of our lives when actually everything is like gone away from our lives. The children fly away, the parents pass away, and that's the time we actually start thinking and start looking at who are you? And that's very big.
Did everyone hear what she just mentioned? It's such a beautiful journey because so the last time I was, and I'll tell you a quick story. My dad's from Delhi. He was born in Patiala and born and raised in Delhi. And my mom's from the Philippines. And I was born in the States. I was born in Chicago. And so 2 years ago, well actually 6 years ago, I was just telling these girls, 6 years ago I was here shopping for the glitz and glamour of this big scale Bollywood wedding that I was going to have, that I actually had in Chicago. And it was a full week. And 2 years ago, I was healing after I left my very abusive, physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive marriage. And so, and now here I am speaking to all of you about what redefining identity looks like. And you mentioned a couple of really key points, which is actually, it's so important because you see the different stages. And you're right, we have the role of identity of what society wants us to be, and then we have the role of what the ideal of motherhood is supposed to be. And then how we actually should be in corporations, how we lead our businesses, and how then we lead our own lives. And of course, there's another talk that I'm actually giving tomorrow around perfection and the perfect daughter. So if any of you want to come to that, it's going to be pretty powerful with similar sentiments. But you're right. When do we actually get to focus on ourselves? And for those of us who come from cultural backgrounds, you know, there's this idea of selfishness. There's this idea of, what do you mean? You're serving other people, so in serving others, you serve yourself. But quite honestly, there's such a dichotomy to that in a few different senses. One of which, well, forgiving from an empty cup, what is that going to lead to? And, you know, this whole idea of filling your cup up first is so important so that you can outpour some of those gifts onto other people. And that only comes with knowing your authenticity, knowing your truth, and knowing what that identity for whatever period of time, what that period of time looks like. And what was your name? Oh, Mahima.
And most times, you actually start re-looking at yourself, thinking about who you are on a new surface also.
Yes.
That is a huge catalyst.
Yes.
For bringing out the new you.
Yes. I want to just bring that up. How many of us have experienced pain and hardship in their lives? Now, if you can think of, so if we can take a step back, and I do this with a lot of the CEOs that I work with, because we, a lot of times, especially in the Valley, when you are trying to raise a ton of funds and you have the venture capitalists, you know, hounding on you to turn something around in a short amount of time, a lot of times there's a lot of interpersonal angst. And a lot of times we go into anxiety and you go into then burnout. But there's so much at stake and there's all of this pressure. So in this room, I want to just take away all of the pressure. I want to take away all of, you know, whatever is beyond these walls. This is actually your time. And I want us to all to kind of get to know one another. And so, did you have something to
First generation Indian as a mother and as a professional.
And that's why I started with
Yeah.
daily.
Yeah.
The guilt of being here.
The guilt and the shame. How many of you have experienced as women guilt and shame for starting a new venture, starting a new track?
Because they do not see beyond the obvious. Is he a drunkard? Is he a womanizer? If he's not ABC, what do we do? You know, stuff like that. These are very huge concerns.
I'm not ready. Yeah, sorry, that's the last one. Yes, you're right. I think being in India, it's so huge. much. And going back to the idea of pain points, going back to the idea of, so if you can think of a certain time in your life, okay, where it had the most profound impact, and perhaps maybe at the time you went into the whole victim story of, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me, why me, but then perhaps now, or maybe it's still there, it actually has added the most value. How many here maybe kind of resonate with that? And anybody want to share what that was for you?
It's all about, identity is all about moment by moment, and it is always rotating around admiration, you know. So it's all looking good. At times we see that, you know, this I'm doing as a mother or as a wife or as a friend is just to look good, to get the admiration. So that's where the rotation, and it's a vicious cycle, you know. So I feel you have to come out of it and love yourself. And when you start loving yourself, I think the whole thinking about identity turns around, you know, in your life. So that's what I feel, and it's moment by moment. And it's like a trap, you know, pass by. Don't keep it, that past with you, so that every time you have a new future waiting for you, because you are meeting the present.
I love that. No, it's amazing.
Yes.
Any you want to add to that?
I would just, every time I see all of you talk, I just think of my mother or my aunts or my uncles and my nanny, all of them. And hearing all those stories and watching them live like that, I have become so averse to any kind of movement. I want to be everything that my mother did not. So, and I want to do everything that she didn't do. And so I've just embodied that role so much in my life that my identity is not forming out my life. It's like, for example, my mom right now, she quit her job because she was an air hostess, and she quit her job because she had me. And I asked her now, why did you do that? And then she was like, I don't know. That's what I was told to do. That's what was right at the moment. And I asked her about her education. You know, why did you choose BSc? What was so appealing about that? And she said, my sisters were doing it, so it must have been the right thing to do. And everything in her life had always been nothing that came from her. And the one time she did that, the one time that she went and became an air hostess, the one time she did that, she let someone else that, you know, come in between that, and she let her go. And so right now, everything I do, I don't want anyone's opinions in there. And I was like that until like a year ago. And so I read this quote once. It said that, you know, when you watch a girl speak and she's so enthusiastic about it, and at this one point of time in those 5 minutes she apologizes. Like, I'm speaking to you with so much energy and so much fire right now, but inside me, in the back of my head, I want to apologize to him. I'm sorry, I'm coming off as too enthusiastic or too bubbly. And you know what that is? It's a judgment. And it's something that I just placed in my head, saying that you have too much fire. That's not good. Like, Ananya and I, we're studying engineering right now. She's doing aerospace engineering, and I'm doing computer science engineering. And we have a startup that has nothing to do with engineering. Absolutely nothing. And we started this because there was so much energy and so much frustration. Like she said, there was that cup that was bubbling over, and we didn't know what to do with that. We didn't know what to do with all that energy, and all I've been doing is resisting everything. And at that one point of time, when I let people come and tell me that you give too much empathy to the world, you are too compassionate, or you know, you're too bubbly, you have too much fire, tone it down. because that's not going to get you anywhere in life. And I started listening to all that, and it's been 1.5 years now that I've been working on getting myself back. Because I didn't know who I was. There was this point of time where you would ask me who I was and I would go on forever. But for the past 1.5 years, I have no idea what to say. You know what every student in Tamil Nadu or any student studying engineering right now, how they would introduce themselves? Hello, I'm Kavita Rukundi. I'm doing second year CS. Tell me about yourself. Studying. That's all I do. and there's nothing that they're doing that is themselves. They've let go of their identity.
Because you have been conditioned and been told since you were born that ABC will make you a good school, good grades, good college, good.
Can I contradict though? Yeah. So my name is Ananya Parekh. I am a Gujarati, born and brought up in Chennai. So that is complete diversity of my culture. So there was one ABC that was not maintained. Secondly, my beautiful mother is in the room right now. She's actively taking videos of me speaking. It's very, hi, her name is Deena Parekh, and she has evidently brought me up in a way. She told me every day of my life that I could be anything at any point in time. And if you had asked me, it would be, my identity changes depending on how I want to capitalize which identity on. So if you come and ask me, I'll be like, yeah, I'm studying aerospace engineering and I want to own an aircraft manufacturing company someday. If you come to me, I'm like, I'm a women leadership enthusiast and I own a startup that's called the Inner Goddess Academy. If you come and ask me, I'm a Kathak dancer and I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. And I have all these amazing, I feel like sometimes I'm actually that goddess with a million hands holding a million different things. And the reason why I'm like that today is because of my mother. And the whole concept, this topic, I think just stumbled upon to my personality, and it happened to happen in a really great way because I consider one of my biggest talents to be constantly redefining my identity. I've been doing that ever since I was born. Like things like my eye color changed when I was born. So first day my color was grey, and then it was brown, and then it was green, and then went back to brown. And it still happens sometimes. So I think it's very in-depth in me to constantly embrace change in ways that totally destroy my personality, but then something comes back up. And the reason why, when I met Nita, that's what I told her. I talked to Nita, I was really worried about, what am I going to say? Like, I'm just a 20-year-old girl and I barely have no experience in life in comparison to everybody sitting in this room. What am I going to say that is going to kind of shift what you people are thinking or understand where I'm coming from? And I think one of the biggest assets that I have today is my upbringing. Because if it weren't for the way I was brought up today, please don't cry, don't do that. If I wasn't brought up for the way I was brought up, I don't think I would be standing here doing what I'm doing. Also, secondly, it's being brought up in a robust environment is what makes you who you are. I think coming from a very pampered upbringing, I kind of made this whole concept of I want to do something constantly my biggest asset, but sometimes it also can be a liability where I just don't stop. I never think that, you know what, maybe I need to slow down. And can I just share a little instance, a little anecdote from my life, which she doesn't really like me talking about too much. She doesn't even accept it because she comes from a very protective atmosphere. So because of this constant change that I was going through, as a kid, I always wanted to do everything. If someone came and said, you know what, Ananya, there's this drawing competition, and I don't even know anything about drawing, I just go sit there and I make something happen. And I constantly kept pressurizing myself to be number one in everything that I did, regardless of whether I became like that, which is what pushed me to something called as depression. And when I went to the psychologist that I went to, she said, you're 19, so this happened when I was 19. You're 19 years old. How can you possibly be depressed? Like, what do you have to be sad about? And this whole concept of you are not enough, you are not capable enough, you are not strong enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not this enough, which totally crushed my whole identity. That's where So even though I've said that I kept redefining my identity through the course of life, I think when I hit that juncture of, like she says, emotional grit, where I couldn't actually put my foot down and say, you know, I don't like this, I'm not going to do it. And mostly to no one outside my comfort zone. Not my mom, not my dad, not my brother, not Kavya, to no one, just to myself. Just tell myself, listen, if you don't want to get up today, it's fine. Just take the day off. It's okay. You're 20 years old, man. Like, go party, have fun, chill. Like, just take a break, because I have so much more to do and I have such a long life to live. What I want to tell you guys is that this has been really scary for me, because I've only addressed the youth before. I'm part of this youth-run organization called ISAC, and we're a global organization that only focuses on youth leadership. And I've spoken to a lot of young people from my peer group. So when I was selected to come speak at this conference, I was like, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? And how is it going to impact what I'm, like, the people that I'm talking to? And then sitting with her and talking to her, the moment I told her my story, and she just lit up and she said, I love that. And I was like, okay, got it. I'm just going to go out there and do my thing. And
she's doing an amazing job. Yeah. Yes, amazing.
Yes. So what I would like to say, my identity is even small things like my favorite color is my identity, and big things like I've been through an emotional problem that I'm getting over is also part of my identity. And I don't want it to be compartmentalized to professional and personal and role-oriented, like what Kavya said. Like, I don't want to be just known as a really good sister to my brother. I also want to be his best friend. And I just don't want to be known as a daughter to my mother. I also want to be her mentor. And I just don't want to be known as a daughter to my father. I want to be his business partner. I don't want to end it at these small taglines that societal norms has put on us. Because I'm grateful to be born in this age, where I can take this opportunity up and be whatever I can be. So that would be my definition of an identity in my world today, where I can be depressed one day and I can be happy one day, I can be a daughter, I can be a co-founder, I can be an engineer, and I can be whatever I want. And I'm kind of done.
I think what she said is all about 3 words, moment by moment.
Moment by moment.
Yes, and what she said and what she said. You know, the goal is same, but here it is coming through rebellion, attitude, and it's by choice.
Wow, got it.
That's a difference.
Well, I want to take just maybe 1 minute, because again, we want to provide as much value for all of you, taking some of these little nuggets so that you can apply it instantly during the conference. And so one of the things, or maybe there's 3 little nuggets that I want to leave you all with. And perhaps I'm speaking at other different panels throughout the week. I'm speaking tomorrow at 1:30, and then Wednesday with my co-lead over there from London, or from the UK. We're talking both about emotional confidence, emotional intelligence. And so you guys are really amazing, like so inspiring. But I want you guys to write this down. What defines you today? It's very simple. Just one exercise. What defines you today?
Sorry, I just jumped up with thoughts already, and I was just saying my soul.
Your soul.
And I also want to applaud you for being brave and actually coming out and sharing with us, because I think for us older people, it's inspiring to see that the youth are so on fire, and you're on fire for the right reasons, and even if it's rebellion, whatever it is, don't judge it, don't criticize it, just go with it. Listen to the fire in your soul and conquer the world. And like Bobby told us this morning, just keep going, don't stop. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And if you can write some of these things down of what makes you uniquely you, what makes you uniquely you, and kind of go in with this perspective when you're actually meeting, don't go after and say, kind of like what Kavya and Ananya were saying, maybe be more curious as to what are your passions in the world? What are you excited about? I go to all of these different conferences around the world, and a lot of them are very much male-driven. And everyone wants to know, well, what are you doing? Because they want to see if you can do business together and just like go straight at it. And you know, I've learned over the years, just cut through the chase and say, you know, and ask. So another nugget. You know, what is the one thing that's been most challenging for you? What has been the one thing that's been most challenging for you? And that will definitely, that's kind of like, whoa, where did that come from? Who are you? So, and if you can turn to your partner, whoever that is, maybe somebody that you don't know, or maybe there's three of you, and just in the first 30 seconds, share what is your identity today? Who are you today? If we're redefining identity, who are you today? Are you a dancer? Are you a writer? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you soulfully filled? So let's take 30 seconds to do that.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable thoughts. Now it's time for Nina Haridas, ma'am. Please, ma'am, she is our lead speaker for today's session.
Nina Haridas, Mexico. And I've been a journalist for 25 years.
You know what? Actually, Nina, we'll give you guys like one more minute to like wrap up your identity, and then we'll have Nina have the floor. Is that cool? Is that okay? Okay.
Be empowered and like feel like you can accommodate so that's what like my life it started like smart mentality is actually I always love
Does everyone have their identity piece now? Are we good? Okay. And I wanted to bring the floor to Nina. And Nina's from...
So because of that, I actually like I was working and then I started my job. I feel that it was really fulfilling. I just wanted to figure out to discover who I want, what I wanted.
I'm actually choking you.
Did somebody just clearing.
Oh no, go ahead. They're ready for you.
Like myself, right now I'm just like to interrupt this and just to like make it happen. Like I really didn't want like a stable job, I guess, right now. And you.
We're all done, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's give Nina our undivided attention.
No, I don't need undivided attention, actually. Here is this. So we were discussing redefining identity. Sorry, I would like to rename it, rebooting your identity. Because your identity is your own. You own your identity. Can't hear you. You own your identity. Can you hear me now? No. See the mic?
Yeah. Good. Begin again. Echo.
Nina, is it okay? Can we hear her like without the mic, perhaps?
If you speak out louder, we
Speak
can
a
hear
bit
that.
more
So
louder.
speak louder, then we can hear.
Yeah, so to start again, I'm Nina Haridas. I work with my client International in France, and I've been a journalist for 25 years. And here we start with redefining identity. But I would like to reboot this subject a bit. It's your identity is you. You own your identity, whoever you are. So I would like to call it rebooting your identity. How do you want to be? What is change that you want to do? And I want you to see two very short clips. Two women who have actually changed their life with the idea of rebooting themselves. One, because she went through a trauma. Her name is Sheikh Hasina. She was an acid victim. Her lover, he loved her. She didn't have the he loved her through her. So he threw, this is my identity. So she was walking on the road, and he threw acid on her. So Indian story. And the other story is of a housewife, a homemaker / army wife, mother, 36-year-old, who went on to become Mrs. World India, and then went to Mrs. World International, and completely rebooted her life. So it's just a short story, and I thought it's better to see it than me telling two short stories.
This is what Hasina likes doing. Every day this 29-year-old meticulously weaves her imagination using these threads. She's very proud of a collection of threadwork paintings, proud not only because they're a work of art, but also because she has beaten all odds to do what she's doing now. 10 years ago, Hasina Hussain was dunked with 2 liters of sulfuric acid by her ex-employer Joseph Rodriguez in Bangalore. It's taken almost 35 repeated plastic surgeries for Hasina to be what she is right now.
I can't explain in my words like how much I suffered. It was very painful, physically and mentally also. But the society, even today, it has not taken us for me.
What's shocking was that the local media had written of Hasina as a woman who had invited the acid attack on her because of her alleged doubtful character. The brutal attack left Hasina blind, and even today her mobility is restricted and she cannot walk for a long period of time without support.
It's impossible to lead a normal life. Acid users can't move freely in the public because people get scared and no one comes for help also. I want to be independent. Mobility is my bigger problem. I like to walk freely.
It is this courage and spirit to survive that has today made Hasina an inspiration for other acid attack victims in the country. In Bangalore, a BVP.
So today we worked closely with Hasina in my clinic and helped her through her surgery. And today she's married and works as a stenographer in a government office and has redefined
and rebooted her life despite what happened to her because of her crazy psychopathic. So redefining life from trauma is what is the most difficult. Our identities don't change. We don't become very different. But our strength, our soul, our heart, our life changes. Be it trauma or be it a happy ending like a good marriage. We are who we are. But at times you have to change you have to reboot yourself and redefine yourself as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter-in-law, as a dog lover, cat lover. So redefining life is about being not a different person, but improvising yourself. And this is a story about a 36-year-old.
Hi, this is Iris Madhu, Mrs. India World 2015, and I have represented India in Mrs. World 2016, which was held in Dongba, China in the month of March. Iris Madhu, Mrs. India World 2015, and I have represented India in Mrs. World 2016, which was held in Dongba, China in the month of March.
So while they fix that, it's going back to redefining yourself. Would you really redefine yourself and redefine your identity to change who you are? Or would you reboot yourself to be a better person for yourself?
I think it happens simultaneously with circumstances and with the way you're in a society and what atmosphere you're there in and where you belong. It's a slow process. You don't even come to know when you get rebooted and fit into the system.
Yeah. But your identity doesn't change.
No, identity doesn't change. No, identity remains. You have new facets to it, you add new dimensions to it, change dimensions to it, but basic intrinsic you remains you.
Yeah. In my life, I've had different, as a journalist, I have moved. I'm a pedantic journalist. I get bored very quickly. So radio is the only medium that I have not yet explored. Because media at that point in my life, when I was younger, radio didn't have, there was no news on radio. So I started off as a political journalist. I studied politics and economics and double honors. So I started with politics and economics, and so the beauty of the most glamorous guy in my life was the finance minister of the country, or the vice president, or the PR agent of the car company that I'm covering. And as usual, I got bored. And then I joined another newspaper called Hindustan Times. Actually, I joined, timeline. I joined Telegraph, and about fashion and lifestyle and clothing. I got bored because the writing wasn't so much, so I rebooted myself again and moved to HT and then headed to HTC, which is a lifestyle magazine, which is you where you get young, kids like this who can jump up and say beautiful things before you can blink. So these were my target audience. From Yashwant Sinha's union budget, which decided what taxes you pay. I moved to this. So I rebooted my life in one. And then came an opportunity to move to Maryland, which is more fashion. And I was fortunate that the brand has more than just fashion. So I dealt with real women, real issues. That's where I met Hasina and got the calls and worked with them and did campaigns for safety women. So that night, my work kind of rebooted itself. And in between, I also joined none of you will know what this is. Some of you may. I joined Reddit.com when internet was unknown in this. And I did sorry? So that was internet when we didn't have all the Instagrams and Pinterest and social media and everything that you go away. Why don't you just show them and open the floor for questions?
So while we're waiting for the lovely video to show up, Nina actually brought up a couple of different pointers, and obviously as we started the whole floor this in the first part of the hour, being able to give you guys enough value so that you can have this different framework and perspective and perception as you go on into the different days of the conference, and some of the things to just kind of be open to. We're all talking about different pain points that we have in our life, and each and every one of you has a story, and we all have different stories, and we have these different story arcs of what identify us, whether it's the childhood story of I'm not enough. And when we look at the different human dynamics and the human behavior changes that come up during the course of our life, there's 3 different things that can come up, especially for women. And we're all women in the room. And so keep in mind that all of us, and you can actually be able to see this in other people, in the way that they present themselves. We all have hidden insecurities, hidden vulnerabilities that we sometimes actually have a block or a wall in front of us. And so one of it is are we enough? Are you enough? Are you doing enough? And for those of you who are nodding your heads, it's huge. So is this job going to give me X, Y, and Z? Is this relationship going to give me X, Y, and Z? Okay, so and then we have different pain points that happen, and even with the girls that were featured on these videos, this is extraordinary hardship, And even in my own life, I lost my mom, my brother, and my dad before I was 20. And so it's been the chase and the quest to chase for validation. And sometimes I saw it in places where I got the validation from men, which is why it led me to the relationship and then marriage that I spoke about earlier. But for each of us and for each of you, it's different. And it's not right, it's not wrong, but just to have, and what we teach at the Global Grid Institute is number one is the awareness. So you can all write this down. Number one is having the awareness of those around you, of yourself, and of what you bring to the table. So that's one, is the awareness. Number two is the acceptance. Accepting that, okay, the reality is, just like Nina so graciously shared, the acid victim, she could have been in victim mode, or she accepted the fate, and then we go on to step 3, is the commitment. Commitment. That is your reality defining you? Is that story defining you? Are you going to take revenge? And we can redefine our identity at every single moment. Any single moment, at every single minute, even right now, you can actually make the choice whether to stay in this room or to leave. And I'm so gracious that you were all actually staying, so thank you. And so we have a choice, and we can make better decisions as a result. Because why? Because we're aware. Okay? And a lot of other people may not be aware, but we are aware. You are aware of your own actions that you bring on into the relationships. And then lastly, so we have awareness, acceptance, what was the third one? Commitment. And then the last one, thank you. Our last one is action, right? Action. So for those of us who, and this is a very, very small example, and a very small example, but everyone can relate to this, weight, right? As we get older, we have different weight issues or whatnot, but it's the action, it's the awareness, right? Yep.
Go ahead, finish.
Yep. So it's the awareness of your state right at the moment, okay? That you want to be able to make the decision to lose or gain a certain amount of weight. And I use this example loosely. But then it's the acceptance of your current reality. And then it's really the commitment. So what's your game plan? What's your strategy? What does that look like?
Can you just tell me how you would identify identity? What is, like, if you say, okay, what is your identity? What does that mean exactly?
Yes. So for those of us, when we were talking about it earlier, identity is really what you define as your authentic self. It starts with the awareness. And a lot of times we're so plugged by what society tells us that we should be, what our families tell us that we should be, especially from the Asian lens, especially from the Asian culture. And then of course we have the different programming. So maybe we have different expectations, like, you know, she's lovely, my lovely co-host on the side, you know, had an amazing upbringing. For myself, I had the pressure from my external family. You know, it was the pressure and the legacy of what they wanted me to be. So what I became was a cosmetic dentist, okay, early on. I ran that, and it was a successful multi-million-dollar practice, and I had 15 doctors under me. But because I did not know my identity, I was only governed by the monetary stream of income, that affected my leadership. Because why? I didn't believe in myself as a leader. I thought I was too young. I thought I was too pretty. I thought no one's going to listen to me. And which is why it's encouraging to have, you know, the different levels of where we are and really owning our truth. And it doesn't matter on what age it is. And so as I began, and this is an example, to really live authentically of how I wanted to be in leadership, whatever that looked like. And it really was quieting the sideline noise. So this is something I talk about a lot, quiet the sideline noise. It doesn't matter what society thinks. And when I was living in that emotionally, physically abusive relationship, I was in fear. And really what it was fear of the world. I had a high-profile cosmetic practice with celebrity clientele that was flying in. What would they think if they knew that I was living an absolute lie? Okay. The judgment that we face. So I wrote down a couple of, or maybe I didn't, but I thought I was. But so we struggle with this idea of enough. Okay, so in enough, then we struggle to overdo, overachieve, overcommit. And as women, because we have this idea that we have to be mothers, we have to be, we're taking care of the family. And I took care of my youngest brother. I raised him. He was 14, and I was 19 when we had our slew of adversity. But it was the whole idea of overdoing and overachieving, right? And we all have this because why? Our number one thing that we all want is the idea that we are not enough. And then the second thing is our worthiness. Are we worth it? Are we worth to have an amazing relationship? Are we worth to have an amazing practice? Are we worth it to have amazing networks and amazing connections? So these are some of the triggers that can come up to define what your identity looks like. And what we were talking about earlier is we have different pain points and different circumstances in our life that can shape that can alter that. But at each moment in time, we can actually make better decisions as a result. And when we make better decisions as a result, there's no judgment in our past decisions. That was already there, and that's okay. Because perhaps maybe we were supposed to make those decisions so that we could actually learn and evolve as we grow, right? And so we're here, and Dr. Harbeen really has done an incredible job of sourcing some of the most beautiful humans. And really what this is all about, and I talk about this a lot, even in Silicon Valley and globally throughout the world, when we do our Global Grit Institute and our emotional confidence workshops, is really, we're creating this heart-centered, humanistic society, okay? And it only happens when we are what? When we're aware. So when we're aware, we are actually living and actually speaking our truth, no matter what, no matter if it affects other people, because it's your truth. It's not my truth, it's not her truth, and it's not her truth. And everyone's truth is so beautiful and so unique in that way. So that exercise that we shared, it's such a profound yet easy, simple exercise of who are you? What defines you? What lights you up? Okay, I can ask that in several different ways. And for a lot of us who are overachievers and overdoers, it's so simple, but it's actually kind of difficult because you're like, well, who am I? I'm a banker, I'm an investor, I'm a mentor, I'm X, Y, and Z, but really, who are you? Are you a singer? Are you somebody's best friend? Are you somebody's champion? Are you somebody's advocate? So really, what makes you human? So again, it's when you're aware, when you accept, when you commit, and then when you take action, you can then affect the lives of those that you serve. You can affect your own lives, and then you can actually potentially shift economies and shift the world around you as a result. And so that's what redefining identity is all about.
So in the end, I'd like to say that you reach a point where you shed the tags. And shedding the tags, whether you're a master's or a PhD or a doctor or an engineer, or you're striving to be one, whatever, shed these tags. Then you emerge as a real you. Yes.
All of those things all of those accolades on the outside don't even matter, which is why when this is our first session of the day, or one of the first sessions of the day, which is why we were asking, we were all collaborating beforehand, and we really wanted to have this low entry barrier, because a lot of times, and this is just a secret thing for all of you, many times people lead with their accolades because there's so much insecurity, right? We don't know because we haven't focused on ourselves.
It's almost like, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you.
Yeah, no, this is beautiful.
It's almost like you are what car you own, what house you live in, what wardrobe you have, what jewelry you have. You are all of that because you are not the real. You're shirking away from the real truth of who you are, and you cover that up, you're making a beautiful canvas for it. You know? So, and then you're so far gone from reality.
And you're so afraid to be who you are inside.
Exactly.
It comes so far.
Because you don't want to confront the real
yourself.
you. You're scared of confronting the real you.
Yeah.
And real liberation is when you shed all of that. Then you will find it.
So I think this is the first step to real liberation. But what I find is that the next part that we get to is where being able to be in the unknown and the adventure of ourselves without the labels. That is the freedom. Where I can, I mean, that's why I travel as part of my business development for myself, is because everywhere I go, I shed all of the labels and I start fresh in every situation. And when I come back to my business, it has been this trajectory shift. It's in alignment with my inner self. My work jumps forward. My business just goes off the charts. And it's completely without fabrication.
I think, I'm sorry, it's only because you don't keep the garbage of past with you, and it's you leave it present, and that's why you're creating a new future.
And I'm having fun.
Yes.
I enjoy myself.
And further, if you define yourself, it is all about you creating a new belief system, and that gets aligned with the conscious mind. And subconscious mind follows.
But we have this idea that identity.
We have this
fight
idea
against what identity is.
And we have, we're so sorry. We're going over like 5 minutes. And if you guys love this, we're all going to be speaking at different sessions throughout the week. So definitely come find us tomorrow. I'm talking about the journey of the perfect daughter, as well as on Wednesday. And again, my website is Emotional Grit. I do have a book coming out in July. You can find me neethabhushan.com, but emotionalgrit.com. There's going to be a WEF code specifically for participants, and we're actually going to be sending out, once you sign up, we'll be sending out some of the worksheets that I've been talking about, and I'll be talking about all week. This is powerful work. Every single one of you, it's powerful work, and it's not easy at all to be vulnerable. And if you think this is hard, try working with a lot of ego-driven male CEOs that are actually running some of the largest companies. It's very, it's very interesting. So I'll see you guys this week. We're going to be outside if you wanted to hang out and have more conversations. It was a pleasure.
Just 1 second, I'm so sorry, but also to introduce what we do, I'm so sorry, but as the Inner Goddess Academy, this is what we do. We help women create that leadership in them. And if you want, I'm not going to take up any more time. We're going to be here. We're going to be outside. And we have a session on the 19th, between 4 to 5. It's called Startup
Speak.
So
It was very startup, and you could find us. We'd just be prancing around doing our things. It's not. It's easy to
And
find
we love
us.
to hear all your stories.
And go to their workshop on the 19th because it's definitely amazing.
Excuse me, ma'am.
The one session is remaining about the Nina Memory last, about the second video of more. It is rotated in the format of which you will receive.
No, I just would like to take what Peter says further.
We are World 2015, and I am representing India in Mrs. World 2016, which is held in Dongba, China in the month of March. I am an educational counselor by profession, married to an army officer, and I have a son who is 15 years old. I entered the Mrs. India pageant last year, which is organized in India by the Valley Padmas and Yaran Singapore, and is crowned as Mrs. India World. When I have to speak about my preparations for Mrs. World, I have to match up to the international standards, and I have dedicated myself totally into fitness. I have learned and I have taken up the martial art of Kerala, Kalari, and I have been practicing yoga as well. I take a lot of pride in the fact that I could take forth the martial art of Kerala, Kalari, to the international platform of Mrs. World with a message of women empowerment. I strongly believe that self-defense is a must these days, because when you look around, you get to see that the crime against women is increasing day by day. From a mother, wife, working lady, to a beauty pageant winner who got a chance to represent her country in an international platform. The journey has been extremely amazing. It was a total transformation for me. And the best part that I got to meet and I got to spend time with 47 amazing married women around the world. When I have to speak about my family has been extremely supportive. Last week on Mother's Day, my son, he came up to me and he said, "Mama, you are my inspiration and motivation." And I think that is my biggest achievement. Before concluding, I would like to say that never let go your dreams, pursue your passion. Be happy and kind always. Thank you so much. This is Madhu, this is India World 2015, and I have represented India in Mrs. World 2016, which was held in Dongwa, China.
I just want to share the stories of these two characters. They're real people. They're not fortunate like us. And they do not have the opportunities like us. And yet, they built and rebooted and redefined their life. With just sheer willpower and heart. So reboot, because you feel that you want to redefine, reboot your life, identity is yours. You cannot reinvent identity. Reboot your life, if that makes you happy. That's all.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable thoughts. I think it will be help all of us for knowing who am I. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Money section. You guys were awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, Sophie, yeah, sure.
So what is this?
I know it. Yeah, in fact, I would love for you to each have a card. So please. These are from a set of Money Goddess Oracle cards that I wrote. And it's all about increasing the financial within us. From the goddess perspective. So there's a card and some information in there. And yes, my name's Beth Ann. Yes. So I'm very excited about what you have to share. So thank you so much for showing up and all your youth. And all your youth and
Thank you so much.
well, so you called so we're appreciative that we have solutions. Well, exactly. We get to see that. We get to see what our future's going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
We were not raised that way. No, right. We were not raised to be empowered. We were raised to be domestic. And so and it inspires me, especially when you're saying about,
like what we can get to do.
it's like I always felt like
We love, like, we don't want them to get messed up. So every time, like, you don't know, come back to the chat.
You're not proud. I know.
So, sorry, what are you guys doing?
Yes.
Even in the streets, we have like Mother's Day festivals. But they actually really use this goddess
Well, thank you very much. Happy to bump into you again. Okay. Good job, Mom.
Yeah, so nice. Yeah, it was so inspiring. I was part of IELTS too. Yes. I'm an exile user for all the days ever. That is so exciting. She's an icicle. Yeah. No, thank you. I was really yeah, I'm Mexico. Really? Yes. Pamela is in Mexico City. Oh, really? Where? Oh, nice. What were you doing there?
I was teaching junior high.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. For sure. Oh, I love you guys. Like, really, like, and me, I'm a unique myself. Like, like, yeah, I feel it. You guys, just like they know for me. Not because like it's not hard, but I always wish that there were like more women in the field. It's like finding like people like more involved, and then you are doing like something that is not like it'd be great. You know, everybody's just expecting you to do something like this. It's like it was just yes. And so yeah, it's like
I feel it's not fixing.
Is it the same? No.
It's all freedom.
Yeah.
And when you don't want it, when you choose in your life with freedom,
I love the name.
you get everything. Because that brings passion.
Yeah. And like her parents also like exactly like me and my husband. So we like do it. If you follow me, are there.
For me also, my daughter is 25 and she like when she was going to a nursery, I used to give her a wardrobe open and say what I want to wear. My mother-in-law used to shout at me. She's throwing everything down and you have to take it all again. I said that's the independence. She has to say
That's what my mom did. She was like, do whatever you want, but I do not say want to do that. So I'm not going to like that.
Yes.
So you just have to do whatever.
I understand. Right. Just jump. How far you want to jump? I'm there to learn.
Since 1.5 years, my daughter is 25, she's in Dubai. My friend, I told her she'll go and pick you up from the airport. You know, I've never gone there now, it's 1.5 years. I am very clear that she's living her life the best. And all our friends are asking, your mom is not even concerned. After you being settling down here. She said, my mom knows I am really enjoying my life. I'm a doctor. I'm a health coach. Yes. I'm a tropology expert. You know what is tropology? Tropology is all about science of tropology. We call it a say that food is a medicine, but food is a poison too. The way we are eating, right? So unless and until you learn how to combine food according to your blood group and according to your constitution, it works well. I'm 55 and I am always cognitively conscious now.
I think they would have read
My group and she's going to yeah, sure. Yes, when she got her one genetic I have it downloaded from the net and I don't know where's my
And now it's like 7 years. You are really
She said something.
You're the one who suggesting. I love Where are we going now next? That we figure out. I have to go to the So that's where I feel that I don't know how long they're going to give me the time, but I want to make it
Yeah, it's digital actually.
about
Online, yeah.
everything in the area.
And yeah, so it's
because if you talk, some people will say you are the one who breakfast like a kid, and the other one will say
Let me connect you with my gift. I'm not volunteer with the UN Women.
Thank you. And let them experience. Actually, I was thinking I would like get it on the first day of like today. I mean, I can tell them that 4 days you do this and just get up to me again and tell me this is my time.
If not being I'm mentoring, I'm doing so like we're always for each other, like always understand how to like a lot of people. So let me send you like the information.
This conference is working.
Yeah,
it's really working. She looks like
it's awesome. She is representing one right now.
I like part of it. I'm part of a group of people.
Right.
Yeah. Part of it. I just started with them. I can explain that been like for a year right now.
She works with UN Women. She's my co-founder.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just like talking because she was explaining to me how you guys are doing all these things. So basically, like our group of people, like when I got involved with these people, like one of the things that I needed actually, I think, to boost my career, it was just like to find like this support group where I can just like raise my hand and say like, I have this one, like I have this idea, who can join with me. And this group has actually been doing that. That's the reason why I'm here, like actually working with one of them was like, oh, let's put you in there, you know, like you need this. And so of course I will contact you guys with this group of people, and like right now we are like 75 we do.
Yeah,
exactly. So I'm pretty sure that like, we'll actually kind of like volunteer in helping you with the mentorship program and so definitely.
Our next session for inter-regional integration and globalization as a tool for women empowerment. So, lead speaker is not yet here. So, our guest, Alma Koda is here. She is director of Sonora Foundation from Mexico. So, we are welcoming here Women Economic Forum 2006. Welcome, ma'am. Now, she will say about something.
Thank you very much. The other two persons that were coming are not here, the lead speaker. Okay, let's hear.
Yes, ma'am. आपके friends को हाँ अच्छा yeah sure.
So I'm waiting. Do we continue? Okay. So the main issue here is the globalization of women and the empowerment it makes for them. I come from the border region between Mexico and the United States. Better? Okay.
You have to.
Like this? Oh. Okay. Empowering women on the border has been a difficult task for governmental organizations. So civil society in the last 15 years has played a key role to develop the strength of the women network. I always joke and say that men write the checks and women do the hard work. And in the community projects and everything that is not related to government jobs. The empowering of women on the border is very different from women any other part in the country. Because women and men come to the border for two reasons. To try to cross to the United States undocumented, or to stay on the border, on the Mexican border town for some time. That some time can be 10 years, 11 years. You grow older, you have children, you die, and you're still dreaming of your hometown in southern Mexico. It used to be only men that will come to the border, and in the last 10 years, a lot of women decided they didn't want to be like their mothers and their grandmothers and be left behind. So they started coming. And with the crisis of living in a different area of Mexico, we usually speak of Mexico as two Mexicos, northern Mexico and southern Mexico. So the women who come to the border have had to find new reasons to live there if they didn't make it into the United States. So the empowering comes from within their own network. The friend from Puebla will call someone to come and work with them. So we now have very strong networks of women from different areas. The empowering itself, it's not only the jobs they can perform, but the new cultural environments they are creating within one community. It's been said that 80% of us living on the border are from somewhere else. So these women start their own businesses. If they don't have a strong educational background to work in the maquilas are the factories, usually U.S. factories that manufacture the goods on the Mexican side and they are exported into the U.S. In some maquilas, almost 100% of the labor force is women. 80% of children born each year in border towns are born out of wedlock. Women in Mexico don't feel the need to marry anymore. So the empowerment also comes from being the breadwinner. Globalization is a common language now because they're working for a US or a French company. They are living in a different area from themselves, and if they are getting married or having a partner, it's also someone from someone else. So interreligious marriages or partnership has allowed them to live a little bit more outside of what their natural environment used to be. The empowering in Mexico, to speak about empowering or empowerment, it's really difficult because the word power in Spanish is very linked to corruption. It's very linked to the male side of the population. So speaking about empowering, it's somehow uneasy to use the word in Spanish. So a lot of times we rather use the word in English within the Spanish-speaking language because that it's not so linked to that big shadow of corruption. So empowering women at this moment, especially very young women, means they can be with a better education than their mothers, and they can have higher paying jobs, which is what really gives women empowerment. If some of you knew about the women being killed in Juarez 10 years ago, by the numbers, we were famous all over the world by women being killed there. It was usually the woman who came by herself to live in the border to work. And all of a sudden they started getting killed. We never got to the end of the story. We never had a true point of view from government. So it was actually very frustrating to all of us living in border town. You start speaking about empowering and you start speaking about better life for those women, and all of a sudden they start getting killed. So there is a very high price they had to pay. And the other border towns took more seriously security issues for women. And speaking about that, it's also very linked to empowering them to be safe to work. For example, the maquilas, which are the twin plant factories, a part of their benefit is transportation. Public transportation is awful in our community, so in order for them to be on time for their work, they have to be brought in a bus that is hired by the company. So when all of these women started being killed in Juarez, all of these factories hired the transportation to be from and to their door, not like in a corner like a regular public bus where 10 or 12 women from that neighborhood would gather. No, the afternoon and the night shift that ends at 7 a.m. can be very dark during the winter. Women are picked up and delivered back at their doorstep. So that's also another form of empowering, making sure that they are safe, not only equal pay, which as per today is not happening on our border towns, but empowering them to be safe enough. The other issue about empowering is daycare. Most of the daycare centers at the factories have been closed due to a fire that happened 6 years ago, because at this moment under the Mexican regulation, the legal representative of the company, which means is the CEO, is legally responsible for any accident that happens within the factory. So the factory daycare centers were closed. So you took one step ahead in empowering women, having a safe place for the children, and then you take a step back, closing those places. And the empowering network for women, yes, number one is having a job that pays for your daily basic needs, but it's also strengthening the network, the health programs, the education programs that will actually make their lives worth living on a border town where they don't have a network of their own family like in their hometowns. Our Mexican culture in Mexico means when you live in your own community, there's always the cousins, the mother, the grandmother, the godmother, the mother-in-law to help you with the daily chores of being a woman in a traditional environment. When you move north, you don't have that net of support. So women start developing their own empowering tools. One of them, for example, is if you have children and don't have a spouse or a partner, women will choose to live together, and one will work the night shift and the other one will work the morning shift in order to take care of the babies. So empowering for women in our own community has not come from governmental policies, but from their own grassroots ideas and innovating the way of living to become really that global citizen in a border town community. So that was my part for the session. I don't know if anyone wants to participate more openly.
How exactly do your projects look like? What do you do in detail? Whom do you
One of the projects that we support directly from the community foundation I work for is how we provide what we call technical assistance for this grassroots of women. Most of these grassroots are oriented to solve their own weaknesses or projects. There is a story in Nogales going around about water, the water supply from the city, for example. You only have water a few hours a day, so you have to have a tank to have it filled, and then it falls by gravity. So these women, or all of them are breadwinners, started getting together in the neighborhoods on how to pay in small payments for that water tank. because they couldn't afford it in one payment. Other example is when they decide or when they are facing the situation to take care of a disabled child, for example. They don't have funds to pay for someone to take care. They don't have special education at school. So what we do to strengthen that network and to empower the women in that situation is we bring a lot of the local media for them to express what's going on. No teacher, no principal wants to be pointed and saying, that's the principal that doesn't want our children in their school. So we train them in order to bring out the subject and not having an aggressive situation that is only going to get worse. So what we say is that let's talk about your children not being accepted in school. And next week, the media will come to the school. And all of a sudden, the doors are open. So that empowering started 10 years ago. And at this moment, and it's 99% women, they know how to take those steps and make a local problem available to the community so the mayor will look. And now with Facebook, for example, it's incredible how Facebook and more Facebook than Twitter has allowed these groups to empower themselves. If they have, let's say, a broken tube of the water supply, and they've been complaining and complaining all over, they will take the picture and post it. In 10 minutes, someone will call the mayor. We're always on election times in Mexico. So the empowering also has come from social media for women.
Do those kind of social empowerment projects not create aggression by specific groups we hear abroad from Mexico? Mainly, for example, the last scandal which was taking place was the murdering of students in Mexico City, or of environmentalists. They start to create groups which are fighting for their social rights, and at the same time you have squads who are murdering those groups in order to avoid social whatever revolutions. Don't you have that problem?
Not at this moment. As I was saying, there are two Mexicos, northern Mexico and southern Mexico. I see that coming in northern states, in the state I live, due to the mining companies. The mining companies at this moment are in the eye of the hurricane because of the environmental issues. Those companies are putting a lot of money into community projects in order to balance the opinion. We always tell them that they have been the bad guys for so long, like for 500 years. But 500 years ago with the mining companies, you didn't see on a daily basis the devastation in the area. At this moment, there are people taking pictures every day and showing the environment, how it changes in 365 days. You can actually see the hills disappearing, the water flooding some areas, and so on. So yes, we do have a social issue with the squads from the police, because that was always a secret in Mexico. It was always hidden. You never knew what happened. You never knew how many were killed. At this moment, the number 43 has become a symbol of resistance against the government. And it also has become worldwide known. The bad news about those 43 young students killed, and I would never like to be in their mother's shoes, has now become a shadow over everything else that happens. And again, going back to empowering, it's mostly women, the mothers, who are facing the situation. Women now have a voice in Mexico, which is rather new, like 15 years old.
Was another question? You should come closer. Yes, we are a small group, so we all should pose questions. How do you finance those projects? Do you have private donors? Do the public institutions support
support you? How do you get the money for those community coaches?
It's usually a phone call. A phone call. It used to be very difficult in Mexico to have a line, a telephone line. A lot of corruption, a lot of bribery to get one extra. But with the mobile phones, it has become so easier. Our phones are our offices. So we get a call from a mother or from the radio station. We're a very small town. The radio is still makes a big impact there. And people would say, well, my mother is suffering from Alzheimer's. And they will go to the governmental organization that is supposedly there to help them. And this organization will tell them, go to FESAC. FESAC is our organization. So we do a lot of community organizing. And community organizing at the end of the day means empowerment. For example, this is the newest grassroots group we are supporting. It's 150 families. There were 3 at the beginning who have a family member suffering from Alzheimer's, or even if the Alzheimer patient is not living with them, they might come into their home for a week or so if they don't know how to take care of them. So a lot of what we do is we bring the nursing school, the cooking school, legal advice for them, because at some point they're going to be the legal signature for their mother or father regarding their their pensions, etc. So a lot of the community organizing for us at the end of the day means empowering more women. And women tend to get together, for example, after church or after school where the child is attending soccer or something. A lot of the grassroots groups are created in very informal situations. And those networks are so strong right now in our community that we always joke, again, we love to joke in Mexico, we always joke with people who are running for office. Because we always tell them, you know what, let's say the Down Association has 50 families, that means 50 mothers, 50 fathers, 50 friends, that's 200. You can lose an election in Nogales with 200 votes. So now civil society is being listened. People in the government are opening their ears to the networks of these empowered women. Women who had never been at an attorney's office 10 years ago, women who had never had a check account, are now managing a check account for the organizations they lead. So financial education is a key for empowering women into the globalization area, especially when you live in a border community where dollars, it's not the legal currency, of course, the legal currency is the Mexican peso, but no one wants pesos. So you have to do all the ratio, how much is the dollar today, in order to pay for something in pesos or so on. Rents are usually in dollars. So financial education, it's also key for empowering women.
Can you name your website?
Yes, it's www.fesac.org. And actually, what we do is very new in Mexico because people used to give hand to hand in Mexico, not through a community foundation, like what we do, which means putting public, which is very little, but putting public and private money for the common good. Again, the shadow of corruption is so thick that some people still have trouble putting money for it, like a pool of money for community needs. But now that they see that actually the needs come from the group that is going to have a problem solved. They have the problem and they have the solution for the problem. They just need the funding. So that's empowering, letting the group know it's your need, it's your solution, we will seek the funding. That means a lot of empowerment for women who never completed high school, for example, and are now in charge of a checkbook. there's nothing else to be said.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your valuable and nice thoughts with us.
We really want to know what happened to the rest of the... Yeah, I wonder if you should really send an email the day before to reconfirm. Because everything was confirmed. You had email exchange? We had everything confirmed on Saturday. Wow.
So the main issue for us is the meaning of empowering in Spanish. In the other languages, we see no trouble for women to be empowered. In Mexico, you are empowered, you have a lot of power, you are on the corruption side. So if you speak, we're having an empowering workshop, no one will show up.
So we have to be really careful. I don't know in the future generations, but as per today, we are very careful into naming the empowering way of doing things.
How do you say it in Spanish then? If you cannot use the word poder or empoderar.
We usually in English, empowering. Yes, it's much easier. We're a border town, remember, so the Spanglish issue is common. But in southern Mexico, we have pays that in some communities in southern Mexico, husbands won't let their wife go to an empowering workshop. So, playing with the words means a lot.
Because you see, when you speak a word, there's a vision that is made in the head. So if at the moment the Spanish word for empowerment connotes something negative, most men will not allow their wives to come. For example, I come from Zambia. Cross-border trade, when it just started, most people, they equated women having extramarital affairs when they travel. So a lot of people did not allow their wives to be traders. But now, because of the economic hardships and seeing other people flourish, they are accepting, it's becoming more acceptable for people to have their wives as cross-border traders. So the words and the vision that it makes in the head is quite important.
Yes, and it's also a generational gap. When I told you that most of the people that live on the border come from southern Mexico, we first noticed that 13 years ago for a pap smear education group, and none of the women had ever had a pap smear and were not able to have one. So we invited their husbands to come to the workshop to learn about what the pap smear was, and that was going to be performed by a nurse, a female nurse. At this moment, no woman 13 years after will ask their husband for permission. That's history. So you can see it changing on a daily basis, and it's also starting very young. At this moment, we are working with groups of young people from middle school. Middle school in Mexico is from 12 to 15. And working with these groups, and it has to be half and half at least. And we also offer grants for only women groups, because money empowers people, not only women, but people in general. So these young students start at a very young age to develop community projects. And it's not, they are so young that they cannot even cash a check, because none of them has an ID. But that gives the girl, when she reaches college or starts working, gives her a sense of equity with the boy. They both decided what they wanted as a group, both sides, women and men. They decided where they were going to buy the stuff they needed for the park, for example. So when they turn 18, 20, etc., they're used to taking decisions. And empowering also means the ability to take decisions and to trust your gut. But if you start making decisions when you're 80, like our grandmother started taking decisions when they became widowed, They had never had to take a decision before. In the case of my grandmother, for example. But the younger generations are now taking decisions, and decision taking is part of the empowering process. It's not always about money.
That's it. Thank you for your time. And I think find out about the others. Thank you. Supposed to be 1/3 of the session. So well, we have planned well. We can buy glasses like the one you're wearing, dresses, I don't know the name, like this one. Yeah, so there are formally girls wear this kind. I love this kind, that it's very bright and also fancy, because they told us to a place here called W, like a brand. W, for clothes like this. There are many types of brand in any mall, for example, you go to a shopping mall. Oh, doesn't it to be special store? Oh, thank you. Sure. Give me my cell phone. I really want to know what happened to the book. Oh, just a second.
हाँ सर इसको बहुत ज़रूरी करवा लो यही कार्ड है तब शुरू होगा अब वो करना ही नहीं तो कंप्लीट हो हाँ कंप्लीट कॉपी तो करा लीजिए हाँ करा लेता हूँ करा लेते एक मिनट इनको भी बंद कर दिए हाँ
Thank you so much. Thank you.
नहीं वो कहाँ पे दे दिए सर आपको भी करवा दीजिए आपके कहने से कहाँ पे रखा हूँ फिर मैं ऊपर जाऊँगा वो तो वीडियो प्ले करने लगा है आपने दे दिया क्या वो क्या हाँ दे दिया ना वो दे दिया ना आप करवा दो